Water. It is nearly impossible to imagine a world without it. Every living creature requires it. Chemists refer to it as H2O. 2 hydrogen atoms, 1 oxygen atom. This seemingly simplistic molecule is responsible for maintaining everything we know as life.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light."
Four and a half billion years of Earth history, and we're still stuck with this.
Hi, Cornelius.
Who's that?
I'm the narrator.
Narrator? Huh. Well, never call me Cornelius. Sounds like some ancient Roman vegetable disease.
Vegetable disease?
Yes. Watts is the preferable title when referring to yours truly. Anyways, please narrate elsewhere. I am occupied.
I noticed that. What's with the jar of water?
Precisely speaking, my attention has been guided to the molecular realm, with a certain dissatisfaction of what people commonly or uncommonly refer to as H2O.
And this means what exactly?
Water! I am presently and completely obsessed with it, and rather disenchanted with it.
Disenchanted?
Yes.
You do realize water is necessary for all life on Earth.
Of course, duh. But let's face it, water is a boring molecule.
Boring?
Yes. Two hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom who lost his way in the world and fell in with the wrong crowd.
The wrong crowd?
Yes, the wrong crowd. Water, it's tasteless, odorless, colorless, it fails to excite. Let's put it that way.
You're saying you don't like water?
I'm saying water could be obsolete. I mean, look at the periodic table of elements.
It's the periodic table.
Look at the periodic table of elements. With all of this to choose from, you're saying that we can't come up with some kind of alternative? Maybe some og, or some al, or some zergmo. Who am I kidding? This is madness.
It certainly is.
Hey, I'm an inventor, okay? It's my nature to be dissatisfied with things that are not optimized. I gotta come up with new ideas, new alternatives.
But an alternative to water, that's pretty far out there.
Yeah, well, fine. You're entitled to your narrative compendium. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm just asking myself, why should water occupy such a high status in our world? Why is it such a lowly molecule? I mean, really.
Well, because God created it for a purpose. Many purposes, actually. It's no accident.
Oh, one of those Christian narrators, huh? Well, tell me this. Do you believe in science?
What do you mean by science?
Oh, biology, geology, the Big Bang.
Well, I don't believe the universe is millions of years old.
You don't? Why, man?
I believe it's closer to 6,000 years old, and I don't think that life evolved from a common ancestor.
That's inexplicable. Thousands? It's not only millions, it's billions. One of those young earth creationist Christian narrators. Well, in that case, allow me to enlighten you on a couple thousand million evidences to the contrary.
How about we focus on water for now?
Back to that sloppy liquid again. Can't you just sit there while I tell you all the reasons why you're wrong?
Later. This show is about all the ways that water helps sustain life on our planet. Did you know that over half of the human body is made up of water?
Really?
Yes. Our brains are 75% water, our lungs are nearly 90% water, and our blood is about 82% water.
Intriguing, albeit slightly disturbing.
You know what is disturbing? About 3/4 of the Earth is covered in water.
Good gracious, are we gonna drown?
Now, 4,000 years ago you would have. God sent a flood to destroy the Earth with water, which has a lot to do with the geological formations we see around the world.
Like what? There's no evidence for a worldwide flood.
Well, how about the Grand Canyon?
The Grand Canyon was formed by the Colorado River over millions of years. Have you no academic sense, man?
There are a lot of problems with that theory.
I cannot believe what I just heard.
What?
You dare to question the conclusions of scientists?
What scientists?
Any scientist.
You mean like Dr. Andrew Snelling, Tim Clary?
Who are these yahoos?
Well, scientists who believe in a worldwide flood.
No. I mean real scientists.
Real scientists.
Yes.
Real scientists.
Like Bill Nye, Richard Dawkins, fine men of science.
Well, to be fair, neither one is a geologist.
That's not important here. The point is they are real scientists.
So real scientists are experts who agree with you?
No, just the ones who believe in evolution and millions of years.
Well, beg pardon, but that does sound more like a religious statement than a scientific one.
Excuse me. Well, I suppose believe is a misleading religious word.
You're the one who used it.
Yes, what a mistake that was. Anyways, I prefer the word convinced by science.
Well, maybe by studying water we can convince you otherwise. Water is uniquely designed to maintain life. Every living thing would die if water did not exist.
Indeed. Fuel for the masses. But that is just the problem. It's too common. I can't make a profit on repackaging something that is found basically everywhere. It needs to be enhanced, revitalized.
Tell that to the bottled water companies. Anyway, water isn't quite as plentiful as you might think.
What do you mean? We have oceans full of this stuff.
But it's salt water. You need fresh water if you want to drink it. In fact, a whopping 97% of the world's water is salty or otherwise undrinkable. Fresh water may be plentiful where you live, but there are many places like deserts where it's not all that easy to come by.
Well, be that as it may, I still feel I could make some improvements. Perhaps the key is in the consistency.
The consistency?
Yeah, instead of this slimy mess which has no interest in sitting still, I'll transform it into something solid.
Yes, that's called ice.
Well, somebody beat me to the idea. But what if it were something in between?
Like a mush?
Well, you don't have to be that graphic, but why not a mush? There must be some use for waterized mush.
It wouldn't be water anymore. It would be an abomination of some kind.
You dare to question the validity of my mush? That's the title. My mush. I can see the infomercials now. Do you have neck pain, a greasy mess on the counter, or a leaky sewer pipe? Check out my mush. It's got to be useful for one of the three, and if it isn't, well, that's your fault, because my mush is good for anything, and even good for nothing. No hassle, no long-term contracts, no more worry in your life. My mush. Call today to get your puddle for $19.99. Ships free.
Do you know anything about chemistry?
Just enough to be dangerous.
That's quite obvious. How about we look at some basics in the real world?
Fine.
It might surprise you to know that water is quite unique in a couple of ways.
Like what?
Well, water is the only substance on Earth that is found naturally in its three forms: solid, liquid, and gas. Most of us think of the liquid, but the solid form, ice, is unique in its own way. Do you know what's so special about it?
What?
It floats.
Hooray! Pass the root beer and nachos.
Let me explain this. Water expands by 9% when it freezes. Frozen water is not as dense as liquid water, which explains why ice floats. This is actually a key feature of water, because most substances don't behave this way. Believe it or not, the density of a substance typically increases when frozen, which results in, you guessed it, a solid that sinks in its own liquid form, but not ice. Because of its lighter density, it heads in the opposite direction and floats.
You still haven't explained why this is such a grand achievement.
Well, think about it. You live near a pond, correct?
Well, it's more of a puddle, but yeah, sure.
Puddle? Things at least live in it, right? Fish?
Oh yeah, fish that don't get much of a workout. They could swim the length of it in 5 seconds.
Okay, well, think of a bigger pond.
Why? Are my fat fish not good enough for your example?
We're getting off track here. Let's back up. As I was saying, if water weren't the exception to this general rule, the wildlife in ponds would have a bit of a problem. Surface ice on a pond acts as an insulator for the water beneath it. It actually stops ponds from freezing completely. If ice didn't float, you wouldn't find it on the surface. It would be on the bottom of the pond. Ice would form and sink, building from the bottom to the top, until eventually no liquid water would be left, and everything in that pond would die. So the simple fact that ice floats instead of sinks, unlike most other substances, is a sign that it was designed to not only be the container that holds and sustains fish and other aquatic creatures, but also allows them to survive when winter comes and ponds freeze over. Ice floats because God created it to float.
That's actually quite interesting.
What on earth was that?
Yet another reason to dislike water. It sticks to everything when it spills, even to itself by the look of it.
And that's a good observation. Believe it or not, even water's stickiness is by design.
Come again?
It may seem hard to understand, but there are many reasons why this is important. Let's do a little experiment. Notice how water doesn't seem to overflow so easily. Even as it rises above the edges of your cup, it won't instantly spill over.
What method of dark magic is this?
It's not dark magic, just brilliant engineering. This is water's high surface tension in action.
Surface tension?
Indeed. This happens because of the cohesive nature of water molecules to stick to each other. Ever notice how water likes to clump and form droplets?
Yeah, it's so consistent it's scary.
Want to see something scarier? Try floating a paperclip on that water. Even though the density of the steel in the paperclip is far greater than that of the water, the surface tension of water won't let it sink so easily.
What in the name of Uncle George is going on here?
We'll have to dive down to the molecular level to find that out. Remember that water molecules are made up of 3 atoms.
Yeah, that one poor oxygen guy and his 2 hydrogen buddies.
Sure. Anyway, those 2 hydrogen atoms are both aligned to one side of the oxygen atom. All water molecules have this arrangement.
Let's get in formation, guys. Line up the troops and hail Hydra. Hydrogen.
Excuse me?
See? I told you they'd come to no good. They've gone and joined the enemy.
They're just doing what water molecules do. Anyway, because of this somewhat lopsided arrangement, the oxygen side of the molecule has a slightly negative charge, while the hydrogen side has a slightly positive charge. You can think of them like magnets for attracting other water molecules. When in close proximity to each other, they will orient their positions to attach and form a bond.
So that's their plan, raising an entire army for war.
They're not planning anything. But let's go back to find out what creates water's surface tension. It's clear water likes to stick to itself, but here at the surface, there's a different situation at play. The water molecules here want to find others to stick to, but beyond the surface, they won't find any. Because they have fewer options, these water molecules on the edge will form even stronger bonds with the ones immediately adjacent to them than they otherwise would. In a way, these stronger bonds act like a flexible shield right across the surface.
See, I told you. They're turtling up like the Spartans to hit us with full force.
Full force?
With such brave molecules holding the line, what's there to stop them? Oh. Well, that's underwhelming. What good is it if it's so weak?
It's not weak for a liquid. Water has the highest surface tension of any liquid, with the exception of mercury.
Now, okay, so why is this so important? It seems kind of pointless to me.
Capillary action.
Huh?
Capillary action.
I have the sneaking suspicion that I am about to learn something.
I would consider it likely. A capillary is an extremely thin tube that water can pass through. Capillary action is an important process in plants. Without it, they wouldn't be able to get water to their leaves. We talked about cohesion, right? Water is attracted to water. Now let's talk about adhesion. Adhesion means that water is also attracted to other substances. Remember how water likes to stick to you? That's because of water's adhesive design. In order to work, capillary action requires all 3 of these major properties of water: cohesion, adhesion, and surface tension. Water is drawn upward through the roots and other narrow passageways of plants until finally arriving where it needs to be. But to get there, it needs capillary action to help it make that journey. On its way through these thin shafts, adhesion allows it to stick to the inner surfaces of the plant and travel upward, even going against gravity itself. Cohesion helps water to essentially pull itself along, each molecule helping the next. And surface tension holds the entire mass of water molecules together, ensuring that those tight bonds do not break on this drop of precious cargo which the plant needs to survive. Even today, this process is not fully understood by scientists. But capillary action is known to help in other life systems as well. Your tear ducts, for example, in your eyes. 2 thin channels in the corner help by draining fluid, dust, and other unwanted particles.
Consider my mind sufficiently boggled. So now water defies gravity, eh? Why doesn't it just throw on a cape and fly through the air like Superman? I'm not sure I believe this.
You don't? Well, try this. try gently dipping a paper towel in that water.
Why? What's that supposed to do? Well, crumble my cookies. It does defy gravity. It's just isn't fair.
Satisfied?
Well, am I satisfied? Are you satisfied? This pathetic little molecule can do everything better than I can.
Well, you haven't heard the half of it until you know how water travels as a gas.
Please proceed.
Water is very important as a gas. When it evaporates, it becomes water vapor, which is important for maintaining Earth's greenhouse effect, absorbing reflected sunlight to trap heat within the atmosphere and radiate it out to spread it across the planet.
Good grief.
What?
It does fly through the air like Superman. And it even throws flaming fireballs across the sky to keep our planet warm.
Well, no, not exactly, but it does help keep our atmosphere at a comfortable climate. Besides that, water can then be transported throughout the atmosphere to faraway places where it would not otherwise be able to reach, providing much needed rain, even to deserts. Much of Earth's rainfall later ends up running into streams and rivers, which find their way back to the ocean. Oceans account for about 86% of global evaporation, and the entire cycle begins again. This process is referred to as the water cycle, or the hydrologic cycle.
Must you use those big words if the small ones make just as much sense?
Sorry, but whichever term you prefer to use, you can be sure that God created it with purpose. Water itself and the journey it takes is undoubtedly created with purpose.
You know, I don't like to admit it, but there might be something to what you're saying. There's more to this than meets the eye.
So, have we convinced you that God exists and the Bible is his written word, that we're all sinners in need of a Savior, and Jesus Christ came to earth to die on a cross and save us from our sins so we could all be reconciled and live with him for all eternity?
That may take a little while longer, but this water thing, you may have something there.
Okay, Cornelius.
Don't call me Cornelius. What is the name? I told you that at the beginning of this whole thing. But anyways, to wrap up this journey of ours, I have got some exciting news.
Oh no.
Yes, I've invented something special. Water with an added bonus. It's my very own special blend of carbonated soda. And get this, I'm calling it Potts Punch.
Potts Punch?
Yes.
But your name's Watts, not Potts.
So I'll get it changed. Didn't matter to you much anyways. Besides, it's easier than coming up with a different title. Well, anyways, down the hatch. Wow, that was better than I expected.
When will you ever learn?
Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been shown to you? Have you seen the gates of the deepest darkness? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me if you know all this. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water, springing up into everlasting life.